and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. There's news on the takeover that came out earlier today, news on MG11 that a lot of people aren't happy with, and it's absolute chaos behind the scenes with the leaks. Lots of leaks come out on that situation because certain employees are not comfortable with his return and have been leaking things left, right, and centre. Harry Maguire was not present with the Man United squad on the London trip, and this comes a day after reports came out last night that Ten Hag was fuming that he had stayed and publicly was being positive, but Ten Hag was fuming and was going to punish him for staying for the money. And right now, and I was speaking to someone, I was speaking to an source, we've got a few, I want to get into a few exclusive things, but it is absolute chaos behind the scenes at Man United, and this all goes back to number 11. And why this goes back to number 11 is because the way Man United have handled it has upset so many employees that there's now things being leaked about the club from these employees that are angry. There's a source in the dressing room that's reportedly leaked a story that he does not want him back. You know, problems are being caused, and I'm going to say this now. Whatever Man United's decision is, the leaking is getting worse and worse. It's going to continue to leak, okay? But Man United should just announce Mason Greenwood is coming back tonight, because it's only going to get worse. The longer and longer they delay this, it's only going to get worse. It's absolute chaos behind the scenes. They should announce it tonight, because every day that drags on is a day where there's toxicity online. There's a day where more and more are happening, more leaks are coming out, and it's not fair on the fans. It's not fair on the players. It's not fair on anyone in the club. If they've made the decision, announce it. If they're not announcing a decision, maybe they've gone back on it. But there's a lot of problems that have been caused behind the scenes, which, you know, employees upset. Maguire reportedly kicked out the squad. There's a rumour that we're going in for Gift Orban, which I want to talk about as well. Some stories on Amrabat. And a story that we're getting Mbappe, we're not. But there's a few stories I want to talk about in today's live stream. So please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, and share the video. We've gone back to Leak FC. And do you know what is really disappointing is what Eric Ten Hag did is Eric Ten Hag tried so hard to make sure there was no leaks. Eric Ten Hag tried so hard to make sure there was no leaks. It was the end of Leak FC. And leaks are coming out left, right, and centre because of how Man United have handled the takeover, how Man United have handled the Mason situation, how Manchester United have handled everything. Everyone's frustrated about the takeover. Everyone's frustrated about Amrabat. Everyone's frustrated about Mason. And the way that Man United have handled this, the lack of communication has caused a lot of problems. Now, there's a report coming out from Samuel Luckhurst and other credible sources saying that Maguire is not in the squad for the Spurs game. Now, maybe there's a small chance that Harry Maguire has picked up an injury, even though he's not really played. Maybe he's picked up an injury. But last night, Jack Talbot came out and he said, despite Eric Ten Hag publicly being positive about Harry Maguire staying, behind the scenes privately, and my source also said this to me as well, there's a strong frustration from Eric Ten Hag that Maguire stayed. And the reason Eric Ten Hag is frustrated is because Harry actually had talks with West Ham, had, you know, a verbal agreement with West Ham, and Man United had agreed a fee with West Ham. Ten Hag wouldn't be annoyed if we never got a bid for Maguire and we never accepted a bid for Maguire. Ten Hag's annoyed because we've accepted a bid for Maguire and he's saying, I'm staying unless you're paying me off. And, you know, this story came out that Ten Hag's frustrated because he wanted Pavard, he wanted Kim Min-jae, he had all these plans, and that Maguire staying's held it back even when they had a 30 million bid. And West Ham obviously pulled out the Maguire situation because they thought, well, we don't want to get Maguire now if he's only coming unless United pay him off. That's not the attitude we want. And the reports come out from Jack Talbot that basically Eric Ten Hag was very annoyed at this. Now, we never know. There could be an injury to Maguire, but there are some reports and speculations that Ten Hag is going to drop Maguire and to see if that can push him out the transfer window. I did come from the Sun, and the Sun is a very much take it with a pinch of salt source, but they are saying that Ten Hag is planning on dropping Maguire out of the squad as a push to see if he can get him sold for 30 million and move him for Benjamin Pavard. It's reportedly apparently Ten Hag's tactic. It may come out that he's injured, but he is dropped from the squad. Luke Shaw, Lindelof are viewed ahead of him as well. So unless there's an injury, I think this is Ten Hag's way of saying, I can't believe you stayed for the money. We accepted a bid for you. You're not going to play. You have to prove yourself and all of that. Ten Hag spoke about Harry Maguire in the press conference, and we will get into what Ten Hag has said on Harry Maguire as well. But I have to say the leaks are coming out left, right, and centre as well. Maguire needs several defensive-minded players in front of him, otherwise he's hopeless. No injury to Maguire, he's just there for the weekly wages. We actually would respect him if he come out and stated that, says Will Chan. And I think this is the thing with Maguire. Had Man United not got an offer for Maguire, I'd have been like, okay, fair enough, he's staying, not the end of the world. It's the fact we got an offer for him, we accepted the offer, and he is staying because he wants the money. That's the truth. He can go to West Ham, play week in, week out. He's still doing good wages at West Ham. He is staying because he wants the money. And for me, that is not the kind of attitude you want at United. Ten Hag will know he's staying because he wants the money, because we know from Romano that he basically said he wouldn't leave unless he got a payoff. So the fact that he's been completely dropped from the squad after inside reports have been leaked that Ten Hag actually, despite being positive about this, was not happy, for me, I think this is Ten Hag's way of going, you know what, adios Maguire, you know what. Ten Hag was positive about Maguire in the press conference, but Ten Hag had this to say on Harry Maguire's failed move to West Ham. Eric Ten Hag said on Harry Maguire's failed move to West Ham today, I don't know what happened. Harry is our player and he's here. We need a good squad. I'm not unhappy that Harry is here. In fact, I'm happy Harry's here. He has to fight for his place, however, like everyone else in the team. We're building a team and I do need double positions for each place. That's what I need. I need the depth with Harry here. He said, but Harry's playing time will depend on him. I'm expecting more from him. He knows what I'm expecting from him. Maguire, I've been here for a year. You know what I expect from a centre-back, and I know that Maguire has the ability to maybe do what I expect. I've told you many times he has the ability to do it, but he's got to show it. Eric Ten Hag's not been negative about Maguire publicly. He's saying, look, I need a big squad. I need all the players I can get. I need double positions. I'm not going to be mad that he's here. He's happy that he's here, but he's saying Harry needs to prove it to me. Harry's playing time depends on him. He needs to prove it to me. I think he's capable, but he's not been good enough. He needs to prove it to me. And if he can't prove that to me, a move is the best choice. He said a week ago, Maguire, if he can't prove it to me, then he needs to go. And I think the fact is that Maguire isn't seeming to prove it to Ten Hag. And Ten Hag's very clear, Maguire needs to go. Ten Hag will never say that publicly. Ten Hag's a respectful manager. He's not like Ragnick. He doesn't want to fall out with Maguire because that would cause a fallout. But we know the fact that Ten Hag accepted a 30 million bid for Maguire is because he wants Maguire to go. So Maguire staying will only cause problems as well. Is Maguire the leak? No, Maguire's not the leak. The leak is a lot of the leaks coming out today because there is pure chaos going behind the scenes. A lot of the leaks coming out today are by staff that are unhappy about the Mason situation. Staff know that United have agreed to bring him back. Man United on August 4th made the decision that he was going to be back and he was going to be announced. United delayed that decision. United had put out PR statements that the players and all the staff had a say in that decision. It's come out now from a player has leaked something that the players aren't happy and that some players don't want him back. The staff have been fuming, and there's so many leaks that have come out on United today that I'm going to get into them all. And this is all because Man United have caused this. Whether you want Mason back or not, we're not into discussing that. But whether you want him back or not, the fact that Man United have continued to delay this has made it worse. Man United need to grow a spine, and if they've decided, Man United decided he's coming back 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, Man United decided to come back and they communicated that with the executives within the club. Someone is unhappy about the decision, so they've leaked that. 3 weeks ago, Man United decided Mason's coming back. So announce it. Because you've delayed it. You span it on the women's team. That caused problems. Go and grow. Go and announce he's coming back then. Because the only way you can continue to delay this is if you're taking a U-turn. Because for me, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. But I want to continue into the news as well. I will get through the live chat in just a second as well. Any news on Ryan Gravenberch? Yeah, United are interested in the player, so Liverpool. Liverpool are reportedly going to put a 20 million bid for him. I don't think he's the player we need unless we sign Amrabat. If we can sell McTominay, we should be getting Amrabat and Gravenberch. But Amrabat needs to be the priority as well. We will discuss that. But we are going to have to get into the league as well. The league got so bad in the dressing room that it's all leaking at Old Trafford. Glazers need to go. Most important thing of today is the Glazers. They need to go. We're going to talk about the takeover news. We're going to talk about that soon. Maguire should have gone. Greenwood should have gone. It's a Man United's a big mess. But the most important thing is that the Glazers go as well. That's the most important thing as well. And this whole Mason situation, I'm fed up of talking about it, I'll be honest, because of course it's such a divide. There's a divide in my live chats. There's a divide online. I'm not interested in talking about it. I want to be talking about why haven't we signed Amrabat. I want to be talking about the Glazers. And do you know what I'm going to say about Mason quickly? The Glazers are loving this because it's got us talking about Mason. We're talking about Mason and not the biggest problem at the club, the Glazers. The Glazers probably don't care that this story is being delayed because it's basically dominated the Man United Twitter space for the last month. And because this Mason story has dominated the Man United Twitter space for the last month, there's been less about the Glazers. Maybe that's why they're delaying it, because the more Mason talk there is, that's the focus away from the Glazers. And the focus needs to be on the Glazers now. absolutely needs to be on the Glazers and getting those parasites out of the club as well. Is the Wi-Fi okay? Is the mic okay? Is the camera okay? We know we get a few issues as well. But Maguire reportedly out of the squad. But we are going to get into the leaks. There's a lot of leaks coming out today, and honestly, it's a big mess at United. So I'm going to power through every single story in about 3 minutes for you guys, and then we're going to talk about it, okay? So last night there was a leak saying many employees feel deeply sense of shame at the thought of Mason returning to the club, although a sizable number believe he should be welcomed back. Almost all of the people in favour on his return are on the sporting side. So essentially the people on the sporting side where they want success on the pitch want him back. The people on the other side of the club feel very strongly that they don't want him back. Now, Adam Crafton, who's got inside information, and Adam Crafton was the guy 2 days ago who works for The Athletic that pretty much announced that Mason would be coming back, and United had actually made a decision 3 weeks ago that Mason was coming back, but they stopped it. He was the guy, obviously Athletic, good source, that got the original leaks. Adam Crafton has now come out and said the plan for Mason's return was so advanced that the club even prepared documents outlining the type of photos that should be taken during training sessions and planned how Erik ten Hag should handle questions. So the leaks are coming out in severe detail. There are some annoyed employees. The fact that we're getting leaks about how Man United's plan was. Adam Crafton's basically said about Man United's plan. Man United had this plan, this interview, how they're not going to let him do media work, charity work, how Richard Arnold was going to do an interview. Man United have been working on this plan for months, this whole scheduled plan to bring about PR. Man United made the decision he's coming back. And Man United are now trying to weather the storm. Man United are basically, there's 3 things United could be doing. A, this is a distraction from the Glazers out. B, Man United are thinking, well, the fact that this leak has come out, when we announce that he's back in a few days, no one will be surprised. Or C, Man United are looking at this leak, seeing how much damage it's causing, that he's coming back, and maybe will U-turn. That's the 3 things they're doing. But the first thing that was said is they've actually got a very detailed plan. You know, they decided he's coming back, people, and then they delayed it for some reason. They had this long, detailed plan for his return. It was also said as well, preparations for return included a list of consultants, journalists, and politicians who indicated whether they would be for or against his reinstatement. They were divided into categories: favourable, open, and hostile. Man United basically wanted to do PR to make sure they could list a name of people that are favourable for his returns, including politicians, consultants, and journalists. But it doesn't stop there. There's even more that comes out. Adam Crafton then said several meetings have been held with staff after it was reported on Wednesday that some staff were ashamed of the club's decision. Some staff considered quitting in the event that Manchester United went ahead with the plan presented by Richard Arnold, while others considered coordinated action, with some of the staff even considering going on strike. But some staff within the club are so angry, and this is why the leaks are coming out, people. This is why the leaks are coming out regarding the situation. But basically, there's reports coming out that several staff, basically some were even considering going on strike. This is why the club's a big mess. This is why the leaks are coming out. As you can see, meetings. And these staff that are angry are leaking this. Man United delaying the decision is annoying the staff. Some of the staff don't agree with the decision, so they're leaking it. But it gets more and more and more. More and more is coming out, okay? Adam Crafton from The Athletic also said crisis meetings were held in which executives sought to justify the return of Mason to staff while claiming that no final decision had been made. So obviously the leak 3 days ago from Adam revealed that United planned to bring him back, and there was outrage. So United have got a plan to justify why bringing him back. But they put out that statement saying he's not back yet. Man United are pathetic, absolutely pathetic. I'm going to say this now. Manchester United made the decision to bring him back, basically saw all the outrage and put out a statement saying they've at the end of their investigation, but they haven't made their decision. You have made your decision. You are just too wussy to deal with the outcry. You've made your decision. Announce you've made the decision to bring him back. Announce it. Go on, do it. Because all you're doing by delaying it is causing more damage, causing more leaks. You're causing problems in the dressing room, which is going to affect Erik ten Hag. It's going to affect his squad. And the focus is off Glazers out. The focus is on this. The focus needs to be on the Glazers leaving. And Man United have put out this statement saying, oh, you know, we're justifying our decision, but actually it's not the final decision yet. So you've made your decision, you've seen the outrage, and you're going to U-turn now. Or you've made the decision and delaying it for no reason and causing more problems. So they said that on the situation. But it gets worse. I mean, guys, this leak, this is a very detailed leak. And I'm only reading out about 70% of the story because obviously it's not fair on The Athletic. They've worked hard on this. You've got to pay to see it. But it was also said Some staff questioned the club's duty of care towards Mason, suggesting he could be cared for off the pitch without allowing him to play for the club again. That's what some of the staff feel. Now, it was said that the announcement was expected on August 4th, and Man United had a detailed plan to announce Greenwood's return on August 4th. However, staff expect an announcement on Greenwood's future before the end of the month. The Sun and other sources inside the club are saying that apparently he's going to be announced back on Tuesday. I don't know how true this is. It's come from the Sun. It's come from questionable sources. But apparently they're going to announce his return on Tuesday. That is also another leak coming out as well. Now, Erik ten Hag, Murta and Arnold all support his return is what's come out in the leak. However, certain players and key big name players in the dressing room reportedly don't support his return, which causes an issue. Because at the end of the day, whether you want him back or not, if his return is going to cause dressing room issues, it's not going to help us on the pitch. I see people saying they want him back because they don't want to see Anthony play. Okay? If you want him back because you don't want to see Anthony play, questionable. But going to the point, if he comes back and Rashford's not happy with him back, Varane's not happy with him back, and Sancho's not happy with him back, and three key figures in the dressing room aren't happy with him back, and the dressing room has a divide, that's what caused the problems under Rangnick and Ollie. It doesn't matter if he might be better than Anthony. If the dressing room is not okay, then we're not going to be okay on the pitch. And there's a report coming out that certain players feel uncomfortable. Now, the report went into more detail about Man United's plan. Man United are going to give him an interview, do therapy, come out with a statement, all apparently scheduled for this Tuesday. Now, The Athletic didn't say anything about this Tuesday, and The Athletic is tier 1 source. It's the tier 3 Sun that said he's going to return this Tuesday. However, we know that Mason Greenwood's PR team has been briefing the Sun, so that may be the case. But it was said, as well as an interview, Manchester United's plan for Mason's return also includes extensive psychological and physical support, which includes some form of therapy for the player. It was then continued on by other sources close to the players, and this is the problem because the players are leaking stuff now. The players are leaking that the reinstatement of Mason is creating questions within the Man United dressing room. The players would have liked to have a say in that decision due to feeling uneasy and intense. The big problem with Man United delaying the news and all these leaks coming out is now that we've got players leaking. We've got sources at the club leaking again. We've got players leaking. We've got an unhappy dressing room. There's a lot of question marks. Basically, this is a big distraction. The focus should be on Spurs. The focus should be on the Spurs game. The focus should be on getting the Glazers out and getting Amrabat in. The focus right now is what is going on with the sale and what is going on with Mason. Because Manchester United is so poorly run. These owners are so awful that it doesn't matter what it is. Transfers, takeover, a serious situation like Mason, there's no communication. They put out a story, they leave it, they don't say anything. They put out these half stories, they leave it, they don't say anything. We said this today with the takeover. Manchester United are always putting out stories, left, right, and centre, on this, on that, on this, on that, stories. And then we don't hear anything for a while. And then we don't know what's true and what's not true. And then we hear half stories. And the lack of communication at this club, the way that this club is run, is embarrassing. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. It doesn't matter if it's transfers, takeovers, or Mason. The way that this club is run, these owners need to go. And I honestly think the Glazers are loving this. I honestly think this. Because you know what? Us talking about Mason, all the focus in the media being on about Mason is taking the focus away from the stories that the Glazers might stay. The Glazers, I think, are happy delaying this because we're not talking about them. It's taking attention away from the Glazers out movement because everyone's focused on Mason this, Mason that. The Glazers love a distraction, positive or negative or not, they love a distraction. And this, again, is what frustrates me. Absolutely frustrates me. What happens if Amrabat turns around and says he won't sign for United if MG's allowed to return? I mean, that could be a possibility, but I think the fact that he said yes to United 2 months ago and has turned down many clubs for United, I don't think that's the case as well. And this has more leaks than Trevi Fountain. It's impossible. He can't come back. He won't be anywhere fit enough, and he may never be fit enough to come back in the case. The thing is, we'll bring him back. The thing is, I'll be honest with you, I can see United bringing him back to training and him never playing for us because he doesn't get to fitness. It's going to take, I'm just going to clarify this for all you people that want him back, okay, and you love him more than your own mum, realistically, he still won't be able to play for at least 2 months of training to get back to match fitness. People don't realise it will take 2-3 months before he could even start, okay? And United, if they bring him back, it's going to cause chaos, okay? And this isn't about whether he should come back or not. This is about stating facts. This is about stating the obvious. The amount of chaos going on just because there's a leak that came out that he's coming back. the amount of chaos that has come out in the last few days because of an leak, the amount of unnecessary drama we've had today, yesterday, and the day before because of the leak. Okay, and he's not back. He's not back in training. He's not even played a game today. Can you imagine the drama we're going to get when he comes back to training? Can you imagine the drama we're going to get when he plays a game? You know, if we're getting this much unnecessary drama because of a report, a leak, this is the beginning. And the problem is, you know, this is not going away. And I hate it. I'm absolutely fed up with it. I don't want to be talking about this. It's not a nice thing to talk about. And the reason I hate this is because I look at my live chat and I see people arguing. I don't want to see viewers arguing in my live chat. People have different opinions on this. You know, it's not, but it's like, this shouldn't have been dominating the whole of August. August is about transfers. August is about the first month of the season. This story should not be dominating this first month of August. And all these leaks and all these continued leaks have just caused more and more problems. More and more problems at the club. Leaks this, leaks that, leaks this, leaks that. You know, the focus should be on get Maguire out. Is the voice audio all right? Is the voice audio all right? The focus should be on let's sell Maguire, let's sell McTominay, let's bring in Amrabat, let's bring in Pavard, let's try and get another attacker in, let's get these Glazers out. It's on MG, and it's just boring now. Is anyone not, whether you want him back or not, is anyone else just bored of this? Absolutely bored of this as well. And I'm 100% with Alex here. It's baffling why he wasn't loaned out, or, you know, for or against him. This is the thing. It would be better for him if he's loaned out. It would be better for us. Okay, because reports of United bringing him back, and these are leaks, have caused so much unnecessary drama. If he comes back, he's going to get so much from the stadium, so much from the crowd, so much from fans and rival fans. Players are probably going to want to be kicking him. Some players at the club don't want him, and we might be bringing him back just for him to be rubbish because he's not played in nearly 2 years and not been great. If you send him out on loan, you can see how good he is. You can see if he's worth the risk of bringing him back. Let's say we sent him out on loan to Atalanta and he scored 1 goal in 25 games and was awful. Man United could sell him with their heads held high and not have to deal with the grief. If he goes to Atalanta and he scores 30 goals in 20 games, United could sell him for 30 million and go, at least we profited off it. You know, if he goes to Atalanta and the fans love him and his reputation and his PR and, you know, all of that, maybe that's better for United. But United are now, you know, if they send him out on loan, you can address how fans respond, you can address how good he is, and it's better for him, because I'm telling you this now, whether you want him back or not, he is going to be taunted by the media, taunted by the stadiums psychologically. If he goes abroad, it won't be as bad. So for me, you know, City released Benjamin Mendy, and Benjamin Mendy's evidence wasn't leaked. Yes, Benjamin Mendy wasn't a great player, but Benjamin Mendy's evidence wasn't leaked. Benjamin Mendy had about 10 different people accusing him, so, you know, you kind of think, but his evidence wasn't leaked, and City still got rid of him. You know, had he been an average player, United got rid of him, because at the end of the day, whether you want him back or not, how much unnecessary drama has this caused? We can agree, we'll disagree with some things, but the one thing we can agree on is this has caused unnecessary drama. This has caused leaks. This has caused pure chaos within the squad. This has also been a distraction from the Glazer out campaign. Do you know what I mean? It's chaos. The club is an absolute mess. An absolute mess. And honestly, I'm fed up. United need to announce their decision tonight. I will say this now. United need to go out and announce their decision tonight, because every day this goes on is more leaks, more chaos. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. Employees are going on strike. Players are starting to leak things. We've got a game against Spurs tomorrow, away from home. A massive, massive game against Spurs away from home tomorrow. And, you know, this is a distraction looming over the players. This is a distraction looming over us. The focus should be on Spurs. And I think United Muppeteers summed it up here. They said, again, it will continue leaking and getting worse. It's not my call to make, but the call should come today immediately and without delay. And I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree on that. No matter what your opinion is, I think we can all agree on that. Because the delays, the reports about the women's team have made this a toxic situation. You know, just they have to announce what is happening today as well. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to continue on with a few other things, because I don't think this is the nicest topic to talk about. I do want to talk about Gift Orban. I do want to talk about Amrabat. I do want to talk about Takeover. I want to talk about a whole load of stories that have come out, because we've got news on Spurs, we've got news on Amrabat, we've got news on the takeover, and I think it's important that we do focus on that. I've done a bit of a rant about this, but the club is in carnage. The club is in carnage, and this is what happens when you have owners that do not care about anyone but themselves, do not care about the lack of communication, do not care about anything. And I'm just going to say one thing. Glazers out. Smash the like button if you agree with me, but those Glazers are parasites and they need to leave. They need to get out of this club, because the fact that we've not signed Amrabat is an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. 25 million, Fred has been sold. Absolute disgrace. The fact that we can't sell and the board can't sell, absolute disgrace. The fact that we saw the Wolves game and we could see the need for Amrabat and they've not even bothered. They've not even bothered to, even think about, oh, maybe we should get Amrabat, we need him. Disgrace. The lack of communication, disgrace. The lack of communication on the takeover, a disgrace. It's all a big mess. Now, guys, if just to add more information on that, EA have had agreement back. Man United have told people he's returning. Mason has been added back to EA Sports. Mason has been added back to United sponsorship databases. Mason has been added back to pretty much everything, and the decision is made that he's coming back. Unless Man United are seeing the outrage and United have made a U-turn, he's coming back. Announce it as well. He's been EA adding him back. United have obviously told people that as well. But look, Harry Maguire's been left out of the squad. Ten Hag's reportedly not happy with Maguire. Mason's basically coming back. The club is a mess. There's absolute leaks. And you want to hear that? And do you want to hear the most outrageous story of them all? I haven't even got into the most outrageous story of them all, people. I've not even got into the most outrageous story of them all. Are you ready for this? Because let's be honest, we all know this is absolute load of rubbish. Nacional have come out with a report. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Manchester United could sign Kylian Mbappe in January after Real Madrid blew their chance to sign him. Maybe we can if we have Qatar. Maybe if the Sun is right with their report that Qataris will be the next owners of Manchester United by November. Maybe we can. But in a day of madness, Maguire being dropped, all the leaks, the dressing room problems, fights in the dressing room, all these kind of reports. The story that blows my mind the most is that Kylian Mbappe is still being linked to United, and I have people sending it to me getting excited. The only way this happens is if we get Qatar. Do I think we're going to get Qatar? Yes, I do. But do I think we're going to get Qatar anytime soon? No. This takeover is going to drag on for a while, people. It's going to go on and on and on. It's going to drag on for a long time. What I'm hearing on the takeover is the Glazers are essentially playing this big game to try and get more money out of Qatar. The Glazers will sell to Qatar if they up their bid. And the Glazers are thinking, well, the longer we wait, the longer they're getting annoyed. I know they said it's their last take it or leave it bid. The Glazers are playing a risky game where they believe that Qataris are going to up their bid. And that's what's going on as well. That's what's going on. I've just seen some very interesting comments there. Some of them are quite funny, but I won't read them out as well. This is a PR nightmare. Greenwood may not be guilty by law, but he'll be crucified not only by United fans, but every other club on earth. How could he hold it together under such hostility? And I think this is a very smart comment. I think when you comment on the situation, going back to Mason, which is such you have to be really constructive because it's such a political topic. But the real question is, this is a big thing. This is a big thing, and this is a really good point here. He's got the whole world going to be giving him stick. How do you know that if you bring him back, he's going to be the player he was destined to be? Not played in nearly 2 years, looks rusty in training. Certain teammates feel uncomfortable. The whole world is going to be giving him stick. The whole world. At the end of the day, whether he's back with the girl or not, he's going to get stick. How does he hold that together as well? Evans' new contract is something positive at least, but is it positive that we've given Johnny Evans a new contract? Would you see Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle or Chelsea signing Wout or Johnny Evans? No, because they would get a proper centre-back and they get a proper striker in. Chelsea got João Felix and Mudryk and loads of people in January. Man City, Chelsea, and I hate to be negative, and I feel like I'm being negative, Alice, again, but Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, would they be signing Wout and Johnny Evans on a free? No, they wouldn't. So I don't want to be negative, but no, they wouldn't. Absolutely not as well. Greedy Glazes out, says Jean is here. Big up everybody. Smash the like button if you Glazes out. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new as well. I'm just going to scroll down the live chat. I'm a little bit behind on the live chat as well. I don't think Kylian wants to come. I think Kylian will just wait for Real Madrid. That's his dream as well. They said no sale. I believe the club will be sold. Basically, I spoke about this in my video earlier today, but basically the report that came out earlier today, it was a weird one, but essentially it was saying the Glazers are selling but no sale. That's what Rain Groups feel. The Glazers have played this game where they're selling, but they're selling something that's not a sale. And it was this whole drama and stuff as well. Honestly, such drama at the club at the moment. But there's a report coming out that the Glazers are playing Qatar. The Glazers aren't going to sell this and that, this and that. You know what? I think they will sell. I think it's a game. I think it's about money. I think, look, what do we do with transfers? Drag it out. We just drag every single thing out as well. I do want to talk about Facundo Pellistri. I do want to talk about Facundo Pellistri. I do want to do a little bit of a preview for the Spurs game. I do want to talk about Sancho, but Daniel James came out and said at Man United, if he had a bad game, he wouldn't start the next 5 games. But if certain players had a bad game, they know they would still get opportunities. Daniel James said when he played for United, he had to be good every time he played or he wouldn't play the next 5 games. Other players could have a bad game and they know they'd still get in the team. And I think this could be the case for someone like Facundo Pellistri. Ten Hag clearly prefers Anthony. And I think Anthony does bring something to United. He's not as bad as people make out. But Anthony hasn't been particularly impressive at United, in all honesty. I don't think he has. And I do think with Facundo Pellistri, I really hope he gets more chances coming up for the Spurs game as well. The Mbappe news, Alice, is BS. 100% is. Unless we get Qatar, it's BS. And I don't know if we'll even get Qatar by January. I still think we're going to get Qatar because I trust people that have told me things. But I don't think we'll get Qatar for a very long time as well. Smash the like button if your Glazers out as well. Stop dragging things out. Greedy Glazers, says Lewis as well. Dan James with more Maguire slander. There is Maguire slander o'clock as well. And the summer transfer window will close in England at 11 p.m. on Friday, September 1st. Your manager, Erik ten Hag, should be shielded from the Greenwood situation. Yeah. You know what? Man United will put out things that Ten Hag wants him back and all of that. But I think Ten Hag will probably just bring him back from a footballing side just because he knows the board aren't going to sign him another striker. Ten Hag went to the board and demanded he got another striker. He got another attacker. The board will say, look, we can save you money. We can bring back Mason as well. That's what they think. But anyway, I want to talk about Amrabat. I want to talk about the Spurs game. I want to talk about a lot of stories because I think there's still quite a lot to get into. And the first thing I want to talk about is Amrabat. And I saw a very good tweet here in regards to the Amrabat situation from Ethan. And we have to get this deal done. The fact that Liverpool have been talking to the guy and we've not hurried up and put in a bid because we're waiting for Donny to be sold and Donny's moved to Real Sociedad has fallen through it's unbelievable from United when you think about it. But Ethan said this. The key cog that allows us to tweak the structure to be more viable when accommodating a double advanced 8s and the answer to our first fade woes, an absolute non-negotiable profile to be brought in this summer, Amrabat, 25 million. And Ethan is absolutely right with this. Man United, have been warned by Romano, they've been warned by Liverpool. You agreed personal terms with Amrabat 2 months ago, you've sold Fred, you've sold Kovar, you've raised £22 million. Why don't you go and sign a player that costs £25 million? Because if you watched Man United versus Wolves, we need this player. And this player has agreed to join us. This player has turned down other clubs to join us. The manager wants this player. And he's available for an absolute bargain. It's not like he's 70 million and it's Hoyland where the price was ridiculous. You've got a player that we need. Versus Wolves highlighted even more that we need. That's agreed to join the club. That Ten Hag has begged the board for. You've sold players and you've got money that covers 80% of his fee. FFP, we don't even need to sort it out until next year. So if worst case scenario, we can sell someone in January. Why aren't we like every other club and proactive? Why haven't we signed this player? And still to this day, I just sit here absolutely amazed as well. And Murta and Arnold just crap at negotiators, Alice. They absolutely are. And I've tried to be positive about Murta and Arnold. The improvement on Woodward. And sometimes it's not their fault when we can't sign players because of the lack of money. But the fact that we're struggling to sell players like Donny van der Beek's, how Fred took so long, and Chelsea are selling Lewis Hall for 30. Chelsea is selling Lewis Hall, who's played 8 games in his whole career, for £30 million. And United just can't get anything. Eric says, finally caught up on live show. Big up Alice as well. Big up everybody in the chat as well. And we're definitely going to put in a bid of over 35 million for him if Liverpool make an offer. The problem is, Man United delaying this whole Amrabat situation might cost us more money. United are basically saying we're not going to make a bid for Amrabat until Donny is sold. But if Liverpool make a 35 million bid for Amrabat and Fiorentina accept that, then instead of being able to get Amrabat for 25 million a week ago, we might have to get him for 35 million, and we might not have the funds for that. And it's like, why don't you buy Amrabat now? Because if Liverpool put in a bid, we're in trouble. Look, Lavia cost 60 million when he was going to be 48. Caicedo was going to be 90 million. It was 110 because other teams put bids in. That could happen to Amrabat. That could happen to Amrabat as well. Yeah. Someone said, why is Ten Hag bigging up Maguire in the press conference? Because Ten Hag does not want to knock confidence. If Maguire stays here, Ten Hag wants a good relationship with Maguire. He doesn't want to knock confidence. Basically, Maguire was bought for 80 million and Man United and Ten Hag agreed to sell him for 30 million. If Ten Hag rated Maguire as much as he tries to make out he does in press conferences, he wouldn't have agreed to sell Maguire for 30 million. He's saying that because he's a good man manager. He will never be negative about a player in public because he wants to have confidence in it as well. He wants to have confidence in it as well. Glazer's out. Of course, Glazer's out. The football club isn't an absolute mess, isn't it? There's employees falling out, more leaks coming out that Man United employees are really upset with how the club have treated them and not given them any insight into what's going on with Mason or not giving them a say in the decision. Chelsea in for Arsenal young striker Balogun reportedly as well. Ajax now want 51 million euros for Mohamed Kudus, even though they agreed a deal for 45 million euros because West Ham are in. They literally agreed to sell him. Do you know what? West Ham are being mugged off this window. They agreed to sell Kudus for like 40 million to Brighton, and now West Ham are coming and they want 50 million. It's crazy. Man United are 1-0 down to Leeds under 21s, unfortunately, but hopefully we beat those Leeds scum as well. I have to say, hopefully we do. Can't believe McTominay is worth 40 million. Amrabat's 30 million less. It's no brainer. We should get the deal done. Do you know what we should do? We need to sell. I'll be honest. Man United need to go out there. And Man United need to sell Scott McTominay. They need to go out there tonight, tomorrow, today, whenever. Sell McTominay and bring in Amrabat and bring in Gravenberch. Bring in two. Get your 35, 40 million from McTominay. Bring in Amrabat. Bring in Gravenberch. Boom. Then go out and get Gift Orban. Realistically, Ten Hag wants a midfielder and an attacker and a centre-back. What Man United should have done is given Maguire the boot in June, brought in Kim Min-jae, given McTominay the boot, bring in Gravenberch and Amrabat, okay, to replace McTominay and Fred. McTominay, Fred, Maguire go, Kim Min-jae, Gravenberch, Amrabat. Then United's focus should have now been on, let's see if we can get someone like Gift Orban or Taremi to support Rasmus Højlund. That is 100% what Man United should have been doing. 100%. 100%. But what will Man United do? Put out half stories on Mason to distract people and try and divert blame to the women's team? Agree personal terms with Amrabat for 2 months and do nothing for 2 months? Put out half stories on the takeover for the Glazers to actually have done nothing in the 4 months since Qatar put in a bid? Dilly-dally, FFP brief. Oh, daily FFP brief. We got no money. Daily FFP breach. We can't sell. But if you can't sell, be better at selling because everyone else can sell. Chelsea can sell Lewis Hall for 30 million. Excuses FC, FFP this, FFP that. It is so frustrating at the moment being a United fan. Miguelis Technigretta, technical director, and sorry, I saw Paqueta there. So and I meant Paqueta. Paqueta might be sold, he might not be sold. It's an interesting one as well. And Alice, I think the board are taking it out on Ten Hag over Mount. So no Amrabat. I don't think so because basically Man United wouldn't have signed Mason Mount if they knew he was going to be the only midfield signing because Ten Hag knew we needed a defensive quality player to help with retention. I generally believe that. One second, just going to take a drink of water. Man United wouldn't have signed Mason Mount if they didn't think he was. Ten Hag wouldn't have signed Mason Mount if he didn't think he was getting another midfielder in because Ten Hag knew he wanted a defensive midfielder and attacking midfielder. He wanted two. So I don't personally think that's the case at all. Club of Jokers. Paqueta's being investigated for betting breaches. As soon as he's linked to Man City, he gets investigated for things. Classic. But what I do want to do is I want to talk about how Manchester United should line up versus Tottenham Hotspur. We're going to get into the Tottenham game. We're going to step away from a few of the news stories and talk about how United need to line up versus Tottenham. Now, we know that Erik ten Hag will play a 4-3-3, but I'm hoping Erik ten Hag, instead of playing a 4-3-3 like this, one of the players drops deeper here next to Casemiro. And I hope we see Sancho centrally, because I think Garnacho is better off the bench. We see Rashford on the left, because Rashford is a left winger, not a striker. And I'm going to put Anthony on the right, because I think he does more for the team than people think. But I'd like to see Pellistri definitely giving a go if he starts stinking up. Okay, I want to see Mount more advanced than Bruno, because I know what Bruno could do in that deeper role. He filled in there to help out Sabitzer. Do you remember that? And I want to see Casemiro here. So I want to see Casemiro, but I actually want to see Bruno drop a bit deeper next to Casemiro and Mount kind of be like that. That's what I want to see from United. This kind of midfield where Casemiro is not so isolated. Okay, back four, obviously Shaw. And I'm nervous about this game. Part of me thinks, okay, against Spurs in the transitions, we might be all right because Spurs are going to leave space to transitions. But then we know what United's record is away from home in the big games. Reportedly, Martinez is not injured, so that's good as well. And, of course, Anana. But we know what Man United's record is like in the big games away from home. We know that Spurs look quite good versus Brentford. It's definitely a worrying game. If we go into the game like this, we'll lose. If we go into the game like this again, with this big gaping hole telling Casemiro to do all the work, we'll lose. We need to make sure we go into the game like this, where the Bruno is playing a lot closer to Casemiro, because Casemiro, Mount, Bruno can work. I don't think it really works against the top six away, but it will work if it's more like this, where Casemiro is getting support from Bruno and Mount can come in there. That's when it will work. Not when it's this whole, this, that as well. Bruno 8 roll, yes. We just want to make sure we're ahead. Big up Daniel saying Alice's army. Smash the like button, people, as well. Kim and Jay's on around 200k a week. We can't afford to pay him that to sit on the bench. Varane's already earning 300k a week. Well, Kim and Jay would arguably push Varane off the bench as well. And Anana, Wabsaka, Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Anthony. Yeah, same squad as me. Nick's going on as well. Yeah. And just scrolling down the chat, because I'm a few minutes behind as well. Alice, we've never lost to Spurs at their new ground, winning twice and drawing once. True. Maybe the new Spurs stadium is luck for us. Maybe, this is luck for us. Because I tell you what, psychologically as well, I think we need to win tomorrow. Not just because we need the 3 points and all of that, but I think psychologically winning will be so important, because I think Man United in the back of their head will remember, because the media made it such a big thing, even though Man City only got 4 points away from home against the Big Nine, and Man United got 1 point. Man City didn't beat half of the Big Nine. I think Man City didn't beat anyone away from home in the Big Nine last season, or the Big Six, or something like that. But that wasn't talked about. It only was because it was United. But anyway, Man United, I think, have that psychology of we didn't beat anyone in the top 9 away from home last season. Unfortunately, the psychology of that will be in the back of the Man United players' heads. Well, we didn't beat anyone. Is that going to cause us problems? And that's something that worries me. And I think if you beat Spurs away from home, even though it's Spurs, like not the best side in the Big Nine, it's like, okay, United is like, okay, this season we've gone away from home and we've beat a side that is a top 6 side away from home, which means when we next go away from home, hopefully we have that confidence to do something. Because I feel like United almost are lacking confidence away from home. There's definitely There's definitely a psychological. I do think there's a psychological issue. Went 1-0 down to Liverpool at Anfield, bottled it. It's like when we go 1-0 down away from home, there's definitely a psychological issue as well. Everton have submitted a bid for Gonotto of Leeds as well. Chelsea are looking to get Balogun. There is a lot of transfer news happening at the moment. Some people are saying they play McTominay over Mason Mount. Guys, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Would you arguably give McTominay a chance over Mason Mount? Are you thinking Spurs attacking team, we need to be more defensive? Would you put Bruno in the 10 role and play McTominay next to Casemiro? Would you play Eriksen next to Casemiro? Would you even play Donny? Let me know what you do as well. I watched the Brentford game of Spurs. Defence got destroyed by speed, but 2-2. Yeah, Spurs were good on the ball, but defensively they weren't great. And this is why I think if we're going to play transitions football, we could cause a few problems against Spurs, 100% for sure. The 2 wing backs have to push forward. I absolutely agree. I think Eriksen will work better than Mount. Potentially, yes, but the problem is Spurs have now got an energetic midfield with Bissouma, and at least Mount can do the running. I think Mount might be better for this than Eriksen, as long as Mount can play deeper or Bruno can play deeper, because Mount's got the energy to keep up with Spurs midfield. I don't know if Eriksen has that in his legs. That's the only thing as well. I think Fred would have been perfect for this game. I think Amrabat would have been perfect. But we don't have Amrabat, which is annoying. The season could be much more difficult. We are messing about in the market, yet basically have the whole top half of strengthened exactly. We should have got Amrabat now. We should have got Amrabat 2 weeks ago, really. We should have got Amrabat 2 weeks ago. The fact that we're not even making bids or any of that for Amrabat, I think, is an absolute... It's just Manchester United being silly. It's absolutely Man United being silly. But I'd like to see Sancho centrally because I like to see Rashford on the left. I'll be very embarrassed if we fail to get Amrabat as well. My focus right now is Man United need to make an announcement on Mason. The Glazers need to go get out this club, and we've got to really hope that something pulls through with Qatar. I think that would be really important. And of course, get Amrabat. We need Amrabat so badly. But listen up, people. I am going to wrap up today's live stream here. Please do smash that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, I go live every single evening on my channel doing a video where I cover the news the first 15-20 minutes of the live stream, and then I do 20 minutes of news, 10 minutes of me waffling, and then 20 minutes of normally like answering questions and talking about things in the chat. So please do smash the like, please do subscribe. Hope this was a good show. Thank you everybody for tuning into today's show as well. If we can't sort out a 30 million euro deal, that's just abysmal. And you're absolutely right, Alex. It's not that it's 70 million, it's 30 million and all of that as well. Big up, everybody. Who's on the thumbnail? Gift Orban. I'm going to talk about Gift Orban in a video this week. Ten Hag demanding a striker. Gift Orban reportedly one of the names coming out. Very good signing as well. Play Casemiro, McTominay and Bruno in the middle. Mount on the left wing, says Gums Benjamins. Of course, continue to let me know what you do. But yes, smash a like, smash a subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will be back tonight with a bonus video. See you then. Bye.